Hi, this is Eric Kampmann with Chuck Davis, and we are talking about his new book, The Bold Christian, which will be out in January. And we've been talking about certain principles that Chuck develops in his book in the 6th chapter. The last one he calls the earthly authority alignment principle. And let me just read the first sentence of what you read, and then just what you wrote, and then since it's in the form of a question, I'll let you just go ahead and explain it. So what is the connection between spiritual authority and earthly authorities?
So in the world in which we live, there are assigned authorities. So they're not positional spiritually, but they are and sometimes earned or assigned, and they're very important. The scriptures tell us repeatedly that we're to acknowledge the authorities in our life, that they've been put there for our good. And so the more our spiritual authority aligns with the earthly authorities that are around us, the more fluent the flow is going to be. An example would be in my family. I'm a spiritual authority in my family. I'm a gatekeeper of spiritual blessing and also a gatekeeper against what the kingdom of darkness wants to do. I'm regularly closing that kingdom of darkness door and opening up for God's blessing in my family. Now my kids who are adults will choose whether they want to live under that or not. So as they line up with earthly authorities, the spiritual authority will flow. The church that I pastor, as the people align with the authority of the church leadership, the pastor and the elders, there'll be more of God's authority that flows in that kingdom, or in that more authority of His kingdom flowing in that space. In a community, when there is someone who's in political leadership that doesn't misuse power but is alert that somehow they're representing God, that they're seeing their role as preserving an order that God has given, there'll be a greater degree of authority that flows in that community. So earthly authorities always submit to spiritual authorities, but the more earthly authorities line up with spiritual authorities, the greater the flow.
One of the great problems of the historical church has been where it lined up with the earthly authorities and ceded actually the spiritual authority to the earthly authorities.
Right. Yeah.
And the other point I quickly want to make is that what is encouraging to me personally is the fact that I'm just an individual, but when you read what you're saying here, I've been gifted this same authority that you've been gifted, and I should be confident in that. Not necessarily confident in myself as an individual, but confident in the authority that has been given to me to use as fully as I humanly can during the time I've been given to use it.
Absolutely. And then on the other side of that is, for me as a leader, is I have this authority and the church is going to benefit from lining up to that authority, but I can never misuse that authority. It's back to the principles we've talked about of aligning to the way God wants us to do it. When we're all thinking that way and we're moving in that direction, there is a greater flow of what God wants to do in a community.
Great. This is Eric Kampmann with Chuck Davis talking about his book, The Bold Christian, which will be out in January. Have a great day.